You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
All right, another wonderful day. Finally warmed up a little bit. I have Victoria on. We're going to talk about just general stuff in the city and its relationship with the state, which we talked about last week with the mayor. And he had some commentary. And I'm sure you do too. I know I do. I think what's going on at the state level in regards to what's going on with the cities is baffling.
It is. That's the best word for it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's baffling.
And so we'll talk a little about that. And, you know, I understand that City Hall had a little episode last week.
They did. And you know what was cool, though, is I swung by because I'd missed the email that morning. The city manager was having like a thank you, swing by and grab a breakfast taco appreciation for everyone who pulled all kinds of shifts during the storm. And I walk in, there's like fire chiefs are sweeping water. It was just everyone. IT, everyone pitched in. It was like, okay, all hands on deck. No, there was no, that's not my arena kind of thing. Everyone was pitching in to clean up. I don't know, some kind of.
I know the feeling. I had that happen about 2 years ago. And I'm going to give an unabashed plug for Stop Restoration. I'd have them come out and check out for mold.
Yeah.
No kidding, because you think, well, you got the water out.
Nope.
But no. So Stop Restoration's about 3 miles from where we're sitting right now. And I know Lisa Smith. So, you know, that's who I'd have check it out because, you know, you think, well, we didn't have much damage. Well,
you just don't know.
You don't know with mold and whatnot. And
water of all, I mean, it's secretive. It likes to linger.
And it'll get into areas that you didn't think or under the cabinets or whatever. So, and it was a mess for us. But they did a really good job. What they did, among other things, we were going to have the floor replaced anyway. So they just ripped the carpet up. It's like, well, we just did it about 3 or 4 days early. But they got these very high volume fans and they're hot, you know, it's like 110, 120 degrees. And
help absorb the moisture too.
Yeah. And so for about a day and a half, and this is in June, of course. So, you know, it was a hot couple of days, but that's what happens.
I know.
Well, let's talk about the sponsors because they make this possible. Our place, of course, the best place in town to bribe your children to the Haven Church.
Yes.
You know, have you ever told them, no, we're not going to our place? You
no, because I want to eat there too.
So even
the
if
best part is I can have breakfast or I can have lunch.
So if they raise Cain during the service, they still get pancakes? Okay. Indulgent mother. And I could,
we all have to eat. And I'd rather us eat somewhere where, you know, that's good for everybody.
And give them a sandwich and whatever. Our place is a great place, of course. And then Gina's, I was there last week. I really liked her pizza. Yeah. And it's good the next day, too. It really is.
Oliver loves Gina's. And, really? Well, he particularly likes it because while his pizza's cooking, he can go over there to that little, the throwback games.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. They remind me of Baylor days because those are the games we had there. You know, they had some of those games there.
Yeah, like Mortal Kombat and
Galaga and Pac-Man and like, well, I could
Duck
study.
Hunter.
Duck Hunter. I don't remember that one, but you know, there's and also like this nuclear invasion thing, and it's well, I could study or I could
this
put another quarter in, you know. So there you go.
Yes, Audrey and I are having that debate right now. She's got to finish a project for school. And she's like, but I want to do anything other than that.
But it's spring break, right?
It is, but it's due when she returns.
What kind of teacher would do that to you?
It just
let it. I know, even I at DBU, I don't give homework over spring break.
It wasn't meant to be, but the joys of technology in front of her and her teacher, it started disappearing. And
I hate that.
Her teacher wrote a very nice email. She was like, hey, she showed some grace. I don't know that I would have shown the same grace as my project is disappearing right in front of me.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So she's not happy about life. But I'm like, hey, heads up. This is not the only time this is going to happen to you because sometimes like I'll work on a speech or something or remarks and I'm like, where did those go?
Well, what grade is she in again?
Fifth.
Fifth grade.
She's going into middle school.
So she'll be going to the Kerr right down the street?
She got accepted into STEAM.
Oh, okay. That too. That's good too.
She's excited.
Yeah, I bet. All right. Also, friend John Williams is going to be pretty busy. 817-734-2756. I know it doesn't sound like it, but we are in the middle of storm season. It's supposed to be anyway. And so you don't want to find out when it's too late when your roof is leaking.
Yes, yeah.
Now, you're telling me also that the the city hall leak was
Not roof.
not roof related. Doggone, I was going to send you to John to and let them do the business. Is there any kind of priority giving city business to Burleson businesses?
We don't get to pick and choose who bids on things.
Right.
But whenever, it kind of depends like what type of bid we went out for. There's rules, state rules about how we accept certain types of bids. And so it just kind of depends. If there is discretion, we're like, especially regarding construction, we look over to Dan. Dan, do you have any relation or do you know anything about this company's reputation?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Some people think you should do business solely with Burleson companies, and that's great. But also in some cities, that could lead to a lot of
we absolutely
sketchy
love when
deals.
Local businesses bid on things.
Yeah, the bidding process is kind of a beating, I know, but.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like just like I said, there's certain types of bids that we have to go for certain types of projects. And some of them are closed bids. Some of them have to be lowest bidder. Some of them we do have discretion on. It just kind of depends.
Well, call John at 817-734-2756 because he'll be your best bid, no doubt about it. And also Jeff Kelly at the Wethington Agency, 817-781-0546. And we were at Gina's. It was, I think, a week ago Monday. Yeah. And he and I, because my wife was having prayer meeting at her house, and so she don't want to overhear what we're talking about because all the women probably talk about us, the husbands. And so we went and had pizza there, and the manager of Gina's asked Otto, "Do you know any realtors?" And Otto goes, "There's one sitting right there." And so that's how you do business in this town.
It is. That's true. Yeah, and it's all about who you know.
Yeah. And he knew Jeff because of the shows. That's why I say it pays to advertise. All right. 817-781-0546 or Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com. And you know this guy here, Rod Lewis, who's probably at your last meeting.
He comes to our meetings.
Burleson News Express. You can pick up copies at a lot of places now. I think like 24 different locations.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I find them at Daydream Coffee. But I know they have them at City Hall. They have them at the Senior Center and the library. Several of the salons have them, things like that. And so, you can always pick it up. And I hope it works. I really do because, a lot of times, you go and you're waiting on something like your car getting fixed or whatever.
Yep. It's nice to just flip through something.
Having something in your hand other than scrolling your phone all the time, like we used to do back in the day. I tell people about newspapers in my class, and the kids look at me like,
"What's that?"
Yeah, they chisel on rock, what, the caveman news, whatever. Also, a new sponsor here, True Climate. At 682-244-2019. Yesterday, I called them because I wanted them to come check my air conditioner out. And I know these people. Will Cobb and his sister Emily Cobb run this outfit. And I called them up, and I got a scheduled appointment, and I got on their plan. They have a BTX plan, they call it. And for $99, you get much discounted inspections and repair jobs.
Nice.
It's kind of like insurance almost,
Well, particularly in Texas, where we're just this week, it's like, oh, we thought we were done with the heater. Now the heater's back on. And then you're going to switch it by the end of the week back to the air conditioner.
Right.
And I don't know. Sometimes the things aren't built like they used to be. And so I would like a plan where somebody comes and looks at this regularly and makes sure has all the fluids and things that it needs to do what it needs to do.
And you'll have a regular checkup. But I asked Emily, how often do I need to get my air conditioner looked at? And she said, you change air filters? Well, yeah, every 3 months. I said, probably once a year will be fine. So, you like that kind of honesty with people because they're not going to say, oh, well, my gosh, if you don't check it daily. Yeah. John doesn't do that for the roofs. Emily and Will don't do that.
And then some places, the varying rates on like Freon. Oh my goodness. I heard of a friend who used a company and the Freon was outrageously expensive.
That happened to us a decade ago.
Yikes.
It's interesting. Anyway, we have some nonprofits we'll talk about towards the end if I can remember. I know that we got a lot going on.
I know.
Okay, so just for public information, the City Hall was not a rain-related damage. It was just a pipe burst or something. So I'm sure businesses went there for.
They had to shut down a City Hall for like a day or two to help dry it out and all of that stuff. But the operations of the people that are inside kept going.
Yeah. Well, that same day, we had an opportunity fund meeting across the street, across the park, whatever you want to call it, the plaza, and they were giving away Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Yeah, it was
and
311
stuff.
day.
Yeah, and Colin Gregory was there, and
I was there. I didn't even see you. I swung by
about 11:30, 11:15. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was pretty nice. But so just
utilize our 311 service. That was
they gave us cards and all that.
And you can text it. You can utilize the app, and we'll actually be pushing out later this year an update for that app. But it'll all be the same look and same feel. You'll just have to do an update for it because we found a cheaper, more user friendly, both from the consumer and the those of us that are doing, or those of the staff that are doing it on the back end. And it's cheaper. It's user-friendly. We're really proud of the savings that they identified. Our IT department.
Alex says, hey, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Right. We always talk about how Alex is always saying, this is the best city council I've ever heard of. All right.
He makes it easy. He brings lots of good things to our town.
Yeah, I wait for an email this week, Bud. I'm going to try to get you on the show within the next month and a half or so. We were talking before the show, and the state of Texas is putting a lot of restrictions on the cities. I don't know why they're doing that, frankly. I think I know why, but it's not the reason they're stating. Either I think it's a power play on the part of the leadership. And this is what's always gotten to me about national politics as well. It's like the party in power thinks they're going to be in power to the end of time, and they do things that will violate certain norms or whatever else, not expecting they'll ever be out of power. And then when the other side comes, the Democrats try to break the filibuster rule for a voting act, and it failed because Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema didn't vote with it. But they would have done away with the filibuster for that. Today, Trump is pressing the Republicans to do the exact same thing, and Republicans some of them are tempted to do it. They, 4 years ago, they were pulling their hair out about this. But on the other hand, you have Democrats back then that were saying, we have to have the filibuster now, but back then they want to get rid of it. So and my point with all of that is that Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott aren't going to be there in perpetuity. And if you get a Democrat governor or a Democrat legislature, you basically armed them to do the same thing that you would be ballistic about in other situations. I don't understand this.
When it comes to the every session, they come after local governments. That's school districts, that's municipalities. And they say that they can do it better, that we're not using our dollars wisely. They spin the story to say we're the reason that your property taxes are high. And they paint us all with the same brush because they see an Austin or a Houston, the big guys, do something that they don't like.
Particularly Austin. Because it's such a liberal town, of course. It's very blue town, if you will. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, sometimes I do want to say, okay, if you think you can do, just take one area that you think you can do better and have a trial run. If that's law enforcement, because we see, how often do you even see a state trooper or DPS? And they're not exactly funding their own very well and ensuring that they're well staffed and have all the tools that they need. So do a trial run. If it's that or something else, what do you think that you can do better? Because at the end of the day, all we in Burleson are trying to do is ensure that 911 answers when you call, that the fire department can come out and put out your fire, that the police respond, that we can fill potholes, that we have sidewalks to walk on, playgrounds to play on. It's not anything, we're not trying to build a Taj Mahal. And even when we want to build something, we have to take it to the voters. Yeah. And so, you're going to say whether or not you want that new library.
So you tell me y'all don't impose DEI on everything you do?
It's really basic. Do you want to drive on a road that you can't disappear into when you hit a pothole? We just want to it's about quality of life, safety. We want you to live in a safe, comfortable town that you enjoy doing things in, doing business in, living in. We've
been doing this show together for, I don't know, this is about your 9th or 10th appearance or more, probably.
Probably more.
And so I'm getting a pretty good idea of the budgeting process. Yeah. I can't imagine, particularly no one who's sitting on that council, that they say, well, this is just a pet project of mine. They'll never notice. I think you'll scrub that budget every year pretty tightly.
Oh my goodness.
But when people complain about the city wasting money, what do they complain about? Not Austin, but like
I
residents.
don't necessarily know. I think it's usually like when it's not doing enough of something that they want to see, right? You know, like we in the last 2 budgets have had to dedicate more funds to road maintenance. And that's after years and years of just overlooking, hey, we weren't putting $500,000 in street repairs, just wasn't enough when we have accumulated the miles of streets that we are responsible for in our city limits. And so when you don't see enough of what is a priority to you, right, is when you complain. Like, hey, these potholes on Hidden Creek haven't been fixed yet, but you are building a new park, for example. Well, and it's understanding that these are different buckets that fund these types of projects, and we can't use park money to repair streets.
Is that by sanction, or is that something y'all could change in the city charter?
So in the city of Burleson, we elected. So there's 8.025 or 0.825, whatever the tax rate is.
Right.
And so we get 2 cents in the city for, the other 6 cents goes to the state. And so our 2 cents can be divvied up, and 1 full cent goes to our budget, like the big piece of our budget, and the other is split between, and it was voter approved.
Okay, so this isn't something that is written in stone, but to change that would take a lot of effort.
It would take a Herculean effort.
Yes,
You'd have to go to the public and say, right now we dedicate 1/2 cent to economic development and 1/2 cent toward parks and recreational things. And so to change that, how that's divvied up, you'd have to take it to the voters. And then my understanding is, if you take it to the voters and it changes, like there's a time limit on how long it's changed, you can take it again to the vote. It's really hairy, about how you change that. And then if none of those pass, you risk losing it altogether. So that's a whole other fiasco. So the state could be receiving that 1 cent that we split between these 2 different funds altogether, and we wouldn't have the discretion. But that was voter approved. It's 4A and 4B. You hear that a lot, but really it's our economic development, which enables us to recruit businesses in the past, we've land banked. That's how we got our industrial park many, many, many years ago. They used 4A funds to purchase what is now that huge industrial park, and we've recruited tremendous businesses, employers, and so that helps broaden your tax base too, because you can't just rely on sales tax; it's too volatile. And so some of these ideas of what they're looking at, I don't know the perfect answer for if we did away with property tax, which is a discussion that comes up every session. I don't know what the answer is, but ultimately my answer is always, I really don't. However the funding gets determined at the state level is what it will be. The only thing I need to be able to do is pay for public safety, pay for roads, pay for sidewalks, pay for parks. Ultimately it's just about taking care of our citizens and providing a service level that they expect. They moved to Burleson for what we provide. You can pick any town, particularly in this region. There's some that do things better and some that do other things better.
We do it all better.
It's about the small town feel, but you're just a shot away from the city of Fort Worth, the city of Dallas, if you want those opportunities for employment. But we're constantly trying to grow what we have here. We want you to live, work, play here, shop here, and have all of those opportunities right here. And so kudos to our economic development staff that are constantly trying to recruit well-paying jobs and a variety of different types of jobs.
Here's the thing that the mayor brought up last time. It said to replace some of the caps and the restrictions on property tax, he suggested, and he's talking to his fellow mayors about raising the sales tax a couple of pennies. And, and I have a mixed view about taxes anyway, but he said this would help offset some of the restrictions they're having to deal with in the property tax. But he's not unaware of the other issues involved. If you raised it, it'd have to be something that everybody did around us, because if we raised ours 2 cents,
Oh, it has to
Joshua
be.
and Alvarado don't, then
They're going to recruit over us.
right.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get a group of mayors, or more than just this region, to go to Austin to try to say, look, we need this kind of relief.
And dedicate those funds. They've kicked around, and this isn't, I mean, there have been others who've pitched similar ideas too, where, if the state continues to cap what growth, the growth in appraisals, or however we're going to receive our funding, if they continue to cap what we're able to, how we're growing, we can't hire more police and firefighters. We can't hire more engineers to design the roads that we need to build to move traffic in and around town. And so if you identify and say, if we raise it a penny, well, that penny could be solely dedicated to public safety, so that, if basically what we're really afraid of is, if in this next state legislature, see, right now, when your property tax increases, or if it increases, we are only allowed to capture 3.5% of that growth. Even if it grows 10%, whatever it is, we are only allowed to capture 3.5%. And so if you think about when we try to give raises to keep, for example, our fire and police officers, if you lessen that 3.5% growth to what they're kicking around is 2%, we couldn't even afford to increase salaries across the board for just public safety. We wouldn't be able to afford that. So then how are we going to keep these people here working for Burleson? And it's so much more than money, by the way.
It is.
It's about the culture that we have in our community, and we try really hard. There's culture champions. You were teasing about Alex saying, Burleson is the best. And, there's so much that we offer that if you go to another community, they're not going to have. We particularly take care of our own. I promise there's no community like ours when it comes to nonprofits. When there's a need in this community, people jump up and everyone pitches in. And those are the beautiful parts about our community. But, it's already extremely competitive to have to operate a government, because not only are you competing with surrounding communities, you see when you're driving in the Metroplex billboards that say, starting pay for a police officer is $109,000 if you go to Plano.
Right.
Well, Burleson can't compete with that. But what are some of the other things that we're offering in our community that can help offset some of that?
Well, that's the same thing with the school districts. When I was there, this is always something we got a little annoyed with, but that one of the teacher associations, we don't have unions, would put a pay comparison sheet out. And we always were like just below the median for this area. And we're like, gosh, if I go to, Birdville, I could make $6,000 more. But why did so many teachers stay in Burleson? Had to do with other things. Other than just the money. It had to do with the people we were dealing with. Most of the time the kids are fine, that kind of thing. And if you go to some of these higher paying districts like Fort Worth, it's hand-to-hand combat sometimes.
The county judge and I were talking, we're at a luncheon together recently, and we were talking about how, I don't know why it was like a light bulb moment for me, but he said, the government is the only, it's difficult for industries to on the job training, and government is the only, or the major employer that you can go to that will actually send you to school or give you the training. They invest in you. But the downside of that is then those people can turn around and go work in the private sector and make significantly more. He was specifically talking about CDLs. He said, the county pays for because we can't get the employees if we don't send them to these trainings. So
you're talking about truck drivers, right?
Yeah. So public works, they have to have certain type of licensing. And at the county, he said they had to have a CDL. And then they're out, doing, different types of training and coming across the private sector, and they're stolen all the time. Or another one he enlightened me on was the septic inspectors. He said that the county sends those individuals to that school, to the schooling. They get educated on how to and licensed to be able to inspect septic systems. And then they're out there inspecting alongside someone who's out working in the private sector, and they get nabbed all the time because they can make significantly more money, and but we're just constantly having to reinvent. And how do we stay competitive? Because really, if we're the best ground for getting employees for everyone else, but not necessarily for us.
Well, that's true. And then you think about the fire training and the police training and everything else like that. And, that's true. And I've heard that from several people that are related to what you're talking about. And they're like, it's almost always when like an officer leaves us or fireman leaves us, firefighter leaves us, it's with some regret because what they're leaving behind, but it's always either a promotion or more money, and usually more money. But I just know of teachers that I taught with that went to Mansfield, for example, and they found that they had the same issues we did.
Oh, they are everywhere, right?
And it's, everybody thinks that the next district over has got it going on. Well, it's not always the case. And they were making about $200 more a month, but they got $200 more worth of headache. Nice. And so,
when I think about our public works alone, I think Dan said this recently in a meeting, and it just made so much sense, but they have to cover a lot of different types of work. They have to be knowledgeable about plumbing issues, welding issues. They're like kind of jacks of all trades, and then they get educated in all these different areas, and they can go work anywhere. And at the municipal level, we're just not able to competitively pay them. If they go straight into just HVAC or straight into plumbing alone or whatever field they may choose if they choose to leave the city. And we're paying them like $13 an hour, $15 an hour. And sometimes they have to work multiple jobs to be able to keep their head above water.
Well, the thing about Mr. Abbott's plan of capping the valuations for 5 years, I think is craziness because it basically, he's trying to present that as we're trying to keep grandma in her home. But I knowing how politics works in the state, I think it's to benefit big money donors. All right. And so the fact is that by capping it, the valuations for 5 years, it'd be almost impossible for y'all to budget for 5 years, right?
I have no idea how we'll do it.
And then after that 5 years are up, what happens? You're going to have some angry...
You're going to have extremely angry people. And what you said, you claim you were saving them over these years, but then it catches up with you. So what happens in year 5? Were you hoping that they saved a couple thousand every single year? Because now that money's due.
Or
we live in a very blessed state, especially this region. We're growing astronomically. People want to live here. So, that's the good and the bad of being in a place that you want to live is things cost more because the demand.
Well, they project that Texas will gain 4 congressional seats. That's how much growth we're going to have in the next census. Alex says the employees are the caregivers of the organization and community. A friend in another city said this, and it is so true. That is true. I just have real concerns about why the Republicans in Austin are doing this. Because I can't believe they're doing it for really beneficial reasons. I have to believe it has to do with political power maintenance. And
I think it's going to take all of us paying attention and speaking up to say, you don't have to be serving on the city council to when you run across any of our state elected officials and say, hey, just heads up. All we want to make sure, I just want to be able to drive my kids to church and to school and go shopping in my town. I mean, I'm asking for the bare minimum. I just want to make sure that we can get across town and not, have pothole after pothole. I want to make sure that we can move through traffic lights. I want to make sure that when I call,
of those.
I want to make sure when I call 911 that somebody can answer that call. I want to make sure that my kids can go to school in our community and I don't have to drive 3 towns over to take them to school. It's just simple things. And we all want that. We want to be able to live in a safe, vibrant community that offers a variety of things from entertainment to places to work, places to shop.
Well, and certainly with the public safety. I mean, one reason why people move out of the big cities is because they don't feel safe sometimes. And I wish I could understand the thinking of wanting to dominate the situation at the local level so much that basically you can't do anything on your own. This
That's
is
exactly it.
Well, this is what happens with schools. I mean, when I've mentioned this story many times, is that when I started teaching in Burleson, the state of Texas was pretty hands off. But then beginning about 2002 and 2003, they got more and more involved, and they used, the tax testing process,
I know.
that as a way of mandating certain things of schools. But they mandate so much without paying for it, and, and they do that to the cities as well.
I mean, I'm looking at the stuff that the kids, when they come home with homework, and I have to look at this. I'm like, my third grader is doing this. I was in fifth grade when I did this, and the things that they push on these kids, and then the local school district is who gets blamed when we're not teaching them just like simple things. I always crack up around tax season when it's like, oh, I'm so glad I learned about parallelograms instead of learning how to do my own taxes, because that's really helpful right now. I always laugh at that kind of stuff because we complain and say we were not equipping students with like just common sense, everyday things that they're going to need in life. And yet we're challenging them. I mean, like I said, Oliver's he's doing crazy things with fractions, and I can joke about myself. I never learned fractions or percentages formally because I had the shingles in fifth grade. And so I missed 2 weeks of school and I never learned it formally. So like I've just, made do and figured it out. But, and so my kids like to laugh. They're like, Mom I can't help you with homework. I have no idea what that's asking you to do. Philip.
Yeah, oh, please.
He's the math dude.
Okay.
And the kids like to make fun of me and say, well, she's just history and reading and writing, but Dad has the math skills.
Well, the thing about it is, what made it so tough for us was that they always put it on BISD's dime. Have this testing regime and all this other stuff, and then remediation and the materials for that and the personnel for that is all on your dime. And basically about 45% of the school's budget was kind of off limits. And so when people were getting all worked up about, the tax rate for the schools, so we need to cut spending. Well, only about half of that was available for cutting. It's kind of like the national budget in a sense, unless you want to go into Social Security, and that's a whole nother deal. But we didn't have the option just to make across-the-board cuts. I mean, you will have this kind of funding for these kind of students, period, and you're going to come up with it. And not that I'm complaining about special ed, because God knows if I had a child in special ed, I'd want everything and then some, but it is expensive.
It's extremely expensive.
And it's on our dime. You can get grants, you can get some funding, but most of that is locally funded.
And I think about these babies, that are I'm in our school all the time. And so, the additional paraprofessionals that we have to ensure that the kids are getting the care that they need. And sometimes it's just basic care. Like, it's
at
really
at the younger ages, particularly, and also with special ed. And again, I don't want it to be interpreted that I resent special ed, because if I had a child that needs it, then you betcha. Absolutely. But I'm not unaware of the fact it costs money.
Yeah, I'm beyond proud of Burleson ISD because we have tremendous special education department.
Well, people moved here for that.
People move here for that. Yeah. We are known for taking care, and that's a great reputation to have. But it's costly.
Two programs that I joined when I joined the high school in particular, 1990 was the fall of 90. I found out pretty quickly there were two programs that other school districts would come and emulate: talented and gifted, and special ed, which is they're somewhat related. Actually, I did not know. You don't think of talented and gifted as special ed, but it because you always associate it with learning disabilities and such, but. Different. It's really different learning.
Different.
And TAG definitely is.
Yes, it is.
And so they would come, and Ann Brock and Angie Sifford were having requests for meetings and whatnot. What do y'all do? And I knew of people that moved to our district specifically for those programs. Yeah. And then when we went from TAG at the high school to advanced placement,
right?
They were still moving in for TAG because they were doing that at the elementary for years and years. But anyway, I get off the track. But the point I'm making is that when the state of Texas put these impositions on us, like they're about to do, I just don't think they understand the consequences of what's going to happen.
And that's why I said we're all going to have to pay attention and speak up. It's not just going to take elected leaders talking to elected leaders. We all, as residents of each of our communities, have to speak up and say, look, our general fund, that's where we're turning on the lights and paying for the people that do the work day in and day out. And it's, I mean, to ensure that this community stays thriving, we just have to have basic things covered. And that's ensuring that we have the people to design the streets and sidewalks. We have the people to build them, the people to fix them, maintain them, inspect them.
Well, and then there's also the idea about quality of life. And I'm going to bring up something that I don't know if you get a lot of commentary about it, but I really like that little carnival you'll put on in connection with the Honey Tour, which Melissa Miller would be glad for me to
That has grown
promote.
and been fantastic.
I think it's one of the best things we do as a city.
It's really fun.
And there may be some grumps out there thinking, well, we're spending lots of money on this. Well, these are the things that make living in a community worth it. You go to some other communities where they don't have these things.
Any of that kind of stuff.
It's dead as can be.
Well,
or drab
the
and
focus
dreary.
that we've put on Old Town and ensuring that we keep it, that's a treasure. And it's we're really growing in Alex and his team have really put an effort into tourism and how we can bring in people to visit, because these businesses thrive on, and not just on our local community, but people coming in and supporting them too. And so when we have events like a Honey Fest tour or, whatever people can come up with, everything from the Brew Fest to whatever ideas that, if it's a chili cook-off, if it's a salsa competition, whatever things can bring in new and different people to help support our businesses, the better off we are. And it's not all on just the property taxes, right? Because if we can broaden our tax base and bring in larger employers, different shopping opportunities, all of it helps diversify, because at the end of the day, the state's going to do what they're going to do, but we have to speak up and let them know how it is going to impact us. And there's no way we can keep competitive pay and public safety alone. And by the way, our general fund doesn't even completely cover public safety. It's the majority of our budget has to be for public safety has to be supported by sales tax, by other fees structures. And so that's one idea that they're kicking around. If you raise the sales tax, could a portion of it be dedicated to public safety alone, or could it be dedicated to street maintenance? And there's different options. I don't know if any of that will be successful, but if they're going to lessen our growth capacity, we're going to have to look at other options.
It's just, I think about all these things about how trying to, stay afloat and all this other business. It just, I don't want to name the town, but I went through a town and they don't have anything going on and it's dead. And the community involvement's dead. I know somebody from this town and they don't have anything like we have in terms of growth, but we don't, or the nonprofits or community events or things like that, and that's why people come to this place. I mean, the mayor mentioned the Hot Sounds of Summer. That's become a real deal where people come from other communities for it on Friday nights in the summertime or other types of events. And I don't know. I know Cleburne has been trying to replicate what we got at Old Town in their downtown area. And they're not getting any traction with it. And I don't know all the reasons why, but I know that Old Town in Burleson has probably become in Johnson County the place to go to. And then we got the farmers market opening up. Is this Saturday? I think it is.
Farmers market opens up this Saturday.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Because, I remember going to it like 3-4 years ago and I said, this is very nice. I went to it last year and said, we're at a park. Speaking of which, y'all are building new parking lot.
More parking.
Yeah, at that old police station. I was going to bring that up, but now I'm thinking about it.
And then it'll have a pad site. So the whole area is not going to be a parking lot, but it'll have a pad site for future development. Someone can come to us and propose another little strip center or something like that can have
no more spas or salons. We got plenty of those.
Office space or who knows.
I really thought that property that used to have the old Methodist Church and Hill College would have had some sort of development by now. But
it could, but we're just extremely picky, and we can be. The city owns that,
right?
So we don't have to just build. We can be strategic about what we have there. Lots of ideas are getting kicked around. It could be developed in the very near future.
I don't know the details, but
It's just
a
not a very
professional
big
building
piece
there,
of land.
or a professional building of some sort,
Maybe, yeah.
and that kind of thing. Because
That would have people working during the day that then go and support those businesses in Old Town. Yeah.
I asked about a month ago. I don't know who was on the show, asked about that spot that Razuz was in, and Alex pops up and says, "I can guarantee you, and I know who it's going to be." And I go, "Tell us, Alex, tell us. It's going to be a business enterprise." Thanks a lot for that. Thanks for that info. But I think that space will get filled. And also there's some other areas that I thought by now the dirt might have been moving a little bit, but there's all sorts of economic reasons for that. And that's another factor that we haven't really talked about, is that you're talking about building roads. They're not building
Goodness.
the building materials are
Materials.
gone up
Holy
tremendous.
cow.
And what's going to happen is going to be more expensive, because we're not just going to be rebuilding Burleson. That's going to be a worldwide demand to rebuild Iran, Gaza, all these areas that we're leveling now, and it's going to put a shortage on certain types of materials. And that's all there is to it. They say, well, what's going on over there? How does that affect Burleson? Well, that's one way, because your concrete costs are going to go up. Your steel and metal are going to, and steel and metal will go up. And, cost of rebar will go up for the streets, and blah, blah, blah. And so and then of course the fuel costs. I mean, you got to, you're not running on good wishes. I mean, I know some cities want to, go all electric, but I can't imagine electric vehicles.
Our electric grid can't handle that.
Right.
We don't have the capacity. I mean, there's so many things that the state could and should be working on rather than coming after local government. And, if all these new data centers that are coming at us at lightning speed, we have to have the water and the power grid to support that kind of stuff. Austin has plenty to do. I just wish that that's where they would focus their energy.
I was reading about Abilene, and about they're going to be the data center Texas kind of thing.
Insane.
And the residents
do they have water for that?
Not really. And when these things are fully online, unless we all of a sudden become a different type of climate, it rains more often.
I know. Especially out there. Does it even rain that much? No. I didn't think it did.
No.
My daughter is driving me a little bonkers.
Well,
she claims she finished her tag project.
Please.
She claims.
Do they still, speaking of tag, do they still take them out of class and take them to another campus?
No. I know when I was in school, that's what they did. No, she just goes to a different classroom.
Okay.
They rotate, like she has Tuesdays, but each day is a different grade or however they've figured it out. And then also at Nolatan, and I don't know if it's all campuses, I think it might be, or several of our campuses now have tiny tag. So they get started in like kindergarten.
Well, I probably could have done that, because I already knew how to read when I went to kindergarten. But then, that's a hard age to teach. I wouldn't want to do it.
I'm always fascinated by the teachers that can teach kindergarten. I mean, they get these little babies, and some of them are just barely like
potty trained.
Yes, it's fascinating. And then by the end of the year, they're reading, they're writing their names. It's so cool.
Well,
but I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't. People say, "How do you teach high school?" So that's a walk in the park compared to some of these lower grades, so it's not a big deal.
I will gladly take 5th grade over the little bitties. Now, when I go volunteer to cover a classroom or do anything that the school needs, I'm like, I'll take the older kids, because I can, I can handle them. I can shoot straight with them. The kindergartners, you're like herding cats. As soon as you get one in line, another one's gone, and you're like, get back over here.
I couldn't do it. Well, and so these things are coming in your direction, and you think, well, the budget's going to be made in August. That's not really the case.
No. We start now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It starts 6 months out.
We are having conversations. The department heads already presented at our, I hate that we call it retreat. There's nothing retreatish about
it's just you're in the same room
session.
For a while, right?
Yes. And, like a heavy duty work session. But all the department heads came and presented, what are priorities this year, next year, and 5 years. And, that way we could start preparing. Because if the state comes after the general fund budgets, what are we? Essentially, something has to go.
It is funny because people think of retreats. You think of you're going out into the, some park or the woods or something like that. You have cabins and it's overnight.
Some communities do.
Well,
stuff like that.
the district,
Burleson does not.
BISD did for a while, but about early 2000s, we went away from that. And so our retreats are like, we'd be lucky if you got pizza. That was the indulgences that they would buy us our lunch.
They buy you lunch.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So
I really don't want to go. I wouldn't want to be in any of those communities where you go off somewhere. I mean, like, these are my work colleagues. Let's sit down, let's hash out some ideas, and then let's go home.
Exactly right.
But I also have younger kids, and so it's like,
yeah.
I've got stuff going on at home. I don't have time to go spend the night somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
I can barely attend conferences that require that. I'm like, you know how much maneuvering has to be done to our schedule to be able to account for mom being out of the picture for 24 hours? Dangerous.
There used to be a place that we would go as a high school. It was out in the woods a little bit. It was like, but it was just for the day, and they did have lunch, and we'd do stuff like that. But as far as like overnight stuff, I can only remember doing that once. But anyway, I'm off the topic. But as far as the budgeting process, by this time, 6 months from now, who knows what's material's going to cost or fuel's going to cost.
And that's what makes it difficult to budget, right? It's like you have an estimate for what you think this street's going to cost us or this road repair is going to cost us. And then things evolve so quickly. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh. And now we have to come up with that funding from some other project. So this gets delayed. It's such a domino effect.
Well, do you have a
and we have contingencies.
Yeah,
yes.
well, okay, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
So if you say, we expect
a 20% contingency.
So today you think it's going to cost X, but you're going to budget X plus because you're just quite confident it's going to go up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
the fun
there are
part of the
also
job.
like once in 20, 30, or 40-year projects, like adding on to the police station and building a new building. That's not something that I'll see again in my lifetime. So it's hard to get estimates
You
on.
never know.
I hope not in Burleson because.
Oh, I remember a couple of years ago, there's some talk about putting a library branch in the new development out west, and people were like going off the chain.
Yeah.
And like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Just talk,
I hope we have appropriately addressed their growth this time. But, that's not a project that we would see. And so it's hard to get estimates on some of that stuff because it's not things that we're building every single year, right? We're building roads all the time.
Yeah. Boy, are you. Because, it's
if we're
growth.
not, directly in the city, we're being surrounded by communities that are, so we can compare pricing and we can do stuff like that. But these major projects, like we got a very big estimate, a construction estimate but it's a once in a lifetime project of an expansion of water where we're storing it, pump station, all of this stuff. And so it's like, well, that's not something we see all the time. So it's kind of hard to completely nail down what those figures will look like until you're in the midst of it.
That development near Russell Art Farm, is that in Burleson city limits?
It is.
Okay, and so you had to deal with all of that, because you had to have the infrastructure and whatnot. And sooner or later, we bring this up almost every show, that road's got to be fixed. I mean, and what's really tragic about it is that there's going to be a lot of trees that are going to go down. And I'm not a tree hugger, but I have respect for old trees.
Old trees.
Yeah, we need
it's hard to
you don't
have old
replace
trees
them
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm glad when you did that project with the old police station, you kept the trees up. You hope none of them, sometimes trees don't last through construction very easily.
Because you're messing with their ground. And
Well, let's hope that nothing happens like that. But let's talk about some of the nonprofit stuff coming up, because I know you do some of these things and you like to show up and whatnot.
I do.
Okay. We have a car show with the Next Step Women's Center, April 11th. If you have a car, it's a $30 entry. And I don't think my Mazda 2018 is going to fix, but there's a lot of these cars
There are
around.
a lot of car collectors in our area.
And these things are really fascinating. When my father was around, if I ever wanted to go do something like this, they had a car show. It was easy because he loved looking at these old cars. So it's over at the Old South, and so you can see that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. 10 to 2 on April 11th. No fee to go look at the cars, but if you want to put a car to be looked at, it's $30.
Cool.
All right, and what else we got? We got Light Up Tonight. I have Lisa
This is
Building
such a great event.
It's going to be on. Well, she'll be on next Thursday, week from Thursday, not 2 days from now, but on the 6th, she and Miranda will be here to talk about Light Up the Night, April 11th, that night. So we might get a day of it. You can go see the cars, and then you go to the Brick, and you could see Light Up the Night, and you got, this famous DJ Tay, which Josh tells me is...
He's great.
He's the business or whatever. What did the kids say? He's gas. Is that right?
What in the world?
I don't... Okay, fine. I'm trying to be hip, and I'm not making it...
I have no idea what that means, but he does a really good job. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that we also had at
TJ Tay, probably.
At what's our big? I need Alex to tell me.
The big you talking
Project U.
Yeah. Okay, I think he
the
was
name
there.
was escaping me. Yeah.
And let's see, we have Walk for Life coming up on the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
That's another big deal. Here you got the QR code you can see, but get on their website. Enter in. People think, I can't walk 20 miles. It's a couple of miles. It's not a big deal. It's basically to promote what they do, and they do such great work.
I know.
And Summer Garcia is in my BNI group, and she keeps us up to date what's going on. It's an 80s theme, so
cute.
You can get your neon going or whatever it is, your leggings.
Leggings.
Or the girls with the ponytail to the side of the head.
Ponytail.
Yeah. Did you do that?
Oh, of course I did.
Okay. Did you have the hair that stood up real high?
Yes, my bangs.
Yeah.
They were big. Thank you, Aquanet.
Depleted the ozone, but you look good. All right. Walk for Life on the 18th. And then we got Vineyard Vibes on the 26th.
Fun.
Yeah, over at Lost Oak. This is a Harvest House event. It's a big one. It's a big fundraiser. I've been there.
It's a good one.
I think there have been about 3 of these that I know of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you go over there, and they got some stuff to auction off, and they have live music, and you could buy.
They have several bands all day long. I think it's really good. And then the last
I think the
couple
7-6
of years,
band is the one it's going to be. They're very well known, and so check them out at vineyardvibesbtx.com, or you can just find out on the from Harvest House themselves, Kelly Alexander, who you want to talk to because she's running this thing.
Fun.
They were on the show about 10 days ago, and when we're talking about that, it's a big deal because. They have maybe 2 fundraisers. A lot of these groups have a fundraiser in the spring and in the fall. Summertime, everybody's busy and it's hot, and Christmas time, you're not going to get much action. So, vineyardvibesbtx.com. So that's the 26th.
And the brewery has had food out there the last couple of years, and it was delicious.
And they're doing it again this year.
Brisket nachos or something like that. The food was amazing.
They did
and they had some food trucks too.
Yes, they will.
Okay.
They also had, the Jamie and her crew over at the brewery did the breakfast for BOF.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
And speaking of BOF, I think we got something going on.
Yay!
Golf tournament May 1st. Get Philip out there.
Philip's got a team. He's putting it together.
Oh, good for him.
Told him he didn't have a choice.
That's right. $800 per team or $200 for an individual. So if you don't have you just have a couple guys, you can go ahead and join, and we'll put you with some other guys.
Yes,
it's no big deal. And you could sponsor a tent, some of the holes. And I know the fundraiser of all time, Patsy Dumas is getting a title sponsor. It's like, how can you say no to Patsy Dumas?
You don't.
I mean, really, she walking in, okay, and just
here's my wallet.
Here's the wallet. Just take what you want,
But you trust her because she supports
everything
in town, and she will not put her name on something unless she can truly speak up for it.
That's true,
and you trust her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we need the money, to be frank, at the Opportunity Fund, because the expenses are going up, the demand's going up for these scholarships.
We're trying to increase our workforce here at home by educating these young adults new and different opportunities. Every time I go speak to Hill College government classes, I tell them, whatever line of work you're considering, we most likely need you at the city. So please consider, if you want to go into accounting, finance, engineering, even welding and plumbing, HVAC, we need all of that stuff.
Well, I've asked at the last meeting how the signups are going, and how things go. Everybody waits to the last minute. Don't wait to the last minute because we need to plan for this thing. So, go ahead and, if you're planning on doing it, just having contacted us, there's the QR code for that and an Opportunity Fund website. So May 1st. And I believe we have one more, don't we? No, we don't. Okay, I thought we had one more. Who
That's
knows?
all I have.
That's all you have? Well, that's good enough. Well, that's enough right there. I mean, that's the next month and a half or so. It's going to be, nonstop.
It is.
And then, of course, at the end of May, you got the honey tour, which Melissa needs you to sign up for. And
they need lots of volunteers to make
lots of
that
volunteers.
happen. The bike ride, and then the city will put on the carnival.
I believe they have the Thursday night carnival. It starts and then it goes all the way to
Sunday
evening. Yeah. And so it's it's one of the
There's
best things to
live
do.
music. There's rides and junk food to eat.
Junk food. Oh, good. So you can get Oliver a little bit of cotton candy.
Last year we came home with 2 fish.
Live fish?
Yes, you know that where you toss the ping pong ball and it goes into it.
Yeah.
Yep, we each came home with a fish and the whole kit with the fish. Audrey's died the next day, and Oliver's lived a couple of months.
A whole couple of months.
He got an albino goldfish. I'd never seen one. So his name was Al.
Al for albino. Good. Okay.
Yes.
So we got a lot going on. Now next week on Monday I have Adam Russell here.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, because he's the number cruncher, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. So we'll talk about the numbers because he'll bring the hard data. And then, like I mentioned, next Thursday of next week, I'll have Lisa from Center for ASD.
That'll be good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Helen Kerwin on here. She was scheduled to be on here, and then the ice storm postponed things, and then things got busy. And
I think it would be really good to speak to our state legislators and figure out, what are their priorities? How can we aid them in serving us the best that they can?
Well,
and a lot of it comes back to, like you said, we have to educate because, they're not doing our work day in and day out. So we have to tell them, this is how this will impact us. Is there another option? How can we work together on another solution that ultimately, what's your goal and how can we help you meet it?
I kind of speaking on behalf of the mayor, but I think one of the things he got a real education in is dealing with the state. I don't know if he realized just how much he'd have to deal with the state as mayor of a small town. Because everybody says, okay.
Because all the decisions they make in Austin directly impact how we do our business.
But, you think about running for mayor or whatever, or being the mayor, you talk about streets and crime and whatever else. I think he's found out that you spend a lot more time in Austin than you really planned on. So, anyway, thank you, Alex. And Aaron Ash from Cleveland, thank you for dropping on by. Yeah, he's quite often on the line.
Fun.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of nice. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you having me. I know we just rambled today.
Oh, that's okay. Well,
I encourage everyone to pay attention, and our budgeting stuff is...
Rambling's good because if we had a big hot controversy to talk about, that's not always fun. I like the fact that the problems we're dealing with are normal problems, not stupid ones.
Fair.
This is just
growing pains.
These are just what the life and
we want to have a community where people want to live, and these are the things that we have to deal with because of that.
Well, it'd be worse if we were declining.
Yeah.
I look at my dad's hometown in Oklahoma. It may not even be there 20 years from now. And and when I was a kid and we'd go there, there was stuff going on.
Yeah, it was thriving, right?
Well, pretty much, depending on what the cotton crop was doing, that kind of thing. It was a farm town, but they had stuff going on all this other. And now, last time I was there, I stood in the middle of Main Street for 10 minutes. I didn't have to move because there were no cars. And
just a ghost town.
Yeah, it is. So, anyway, Josh. Try to stay out of trouble this coming week.
I'll do my best.
You do your best.
Over here. Of course. Yeah. He's the party guy over there.
It looks like a real party over there.
Yeah.
What is it? The pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. What movie is that from?
Wizard of Oz.
There you go. All right.
See, I'm not that young.
Well, I thought everybody that your age, if it wasn't made in the last 5 years by Quentin Tarantino, you had no interest in it.
Okay, hold on a second.
See Quentin Tarantino's version of Wizard of Oz. Ooh, boy. Anyway, thank you all, and we'll see y'all
See you next time.
Next time.